Is it just me, or do you want to go upstairs?
I'm tempted, very tempted. So it would be up there.
Okay.
Muggles mug. Muggles mug.
See, it's real.
Shining, and there were two women or something like the little girls from The Shining in the hallway.
Is that something we need to take a picture of?
Well,
Those tours are completely different from what you're going to experience tonight. Tonight you will be able to hear about the different jail spirits and also be able to hunt for the spirits with your camera or your phone. Now this isn't like a haunted house. We don't have anything set up to spook you or to scare you because the jail is home to many real spirits already. Now you'll be taken to different rooms tonight. You'll be taken to the cell block, down to the dark, eerie dungeon, and even outside to the courtyard. Now during your tour, I do ask that you please be careful as it is pretty dark and we don't want you tripping or falling on your tour. Now a jail can be a very dangerous place. Within these walls, there has been 7 men hung, a few murders, a few suicides, and even a few different riots. Now this jail was built back in 1871. It was an active jail up until the year of 1995. Now the warden and his family had to live here until the 1970s. Now upstairs is where the work release inmate men would be, and also 3 women's cells. Now if you are brave enough, you can all follow me. into the cell block where you will be needing another ghost guide. She will take you into an actual jail cell so you can get the feel of what it's like, and then you will be able to hear another story. Now before that happens, there is a story I would like to tell you that happened right here. Now Mr. and Mrs. McBride, the owners of the jail, were working here one day. Now keep in mind, they were the only two in the jail at the time. Now Mrs. McBride was going from the gift shop all the way to the introduction room, and as she was walking out of the corner of her eye, she saw a shadowy figure walking shoulder to shoulder with her in this very hallway. Now she didn't think anything of it, as her husband was here with her, so she just brushed it off. Now the second time that it happened, she started calling out to him, asking him what he was doing, and isn't it funny that this happened again? But there was no response. Now the third time that it happened, she started yelling his name, asking him where he was, what was he doing, and when she finally got a response from him, it was from all the way in the back of the main cell block. Now he was calling to her, asking her what she meant, because for the past few hours, he's been back there the whole time. So to this day, Mrs. McBride still doesn't know who or what was walking shoulder to shoulder with her in this area. Now when you do head into the cell block, I do ask that you please be careful, as it is a step up and a step down. You will be staying to the left of the staircase. Now after you are done in the cell, you will be brought back to where the gallows are, where the 7 men were hung, then down to the dungeon, and finally you would be brought back to the courtyard. Now I do ask that you please be careful, please be quiet, so maybe you can hear something whispering in your ear or scratches on the wall. Now if anything happens tonight, you can come to us after the end of your tour, and we can add you to our ghost files. Now if you're all brave enough, you can enter.
Just step up and a step down.
So you are now in an actual jail cell that an inmate would have stayed in when they were sentenced here. In the 1870s, 7 men, known as the Molly Maguires, were held in these cells and hanged at the gallows in the back of the cell block. These men all pleaded that they were not guilty, but their testimony did not prove that they killed the coal company bosses. So they were all found guilty and sentenced to be hanged. The first 4 men that were hanged here were John Donahue, Michael Doyle, Edward Kelly, and Alexander Campbell. On the day of their hanging, they put the white hoods over their head, walked up the back of the gallows, put the nooses around their neck, and when the signal was given, they would drop 4 feet to their death. It actually took one of the men about 15 minutes to be pronounced dead. The next man that was hanged here was Thomas Fisher. On the day of his hanging, he rubbed his hand on the dirty floor, put it on the wall, and said, "My handprint shall be here for eternity, for the county is hanging an innocent man. Later on that day, the warden tried washing off the handprint, painting over it, plastering over it, and even tried chiseling out that part of the wall and replastering it, and the handprint still came back. You will see this handprint in cell 17 in a few minutes. Just remember, when you do see the handprint, to not take any pictures of the handprint. The last two men that were hanged here were Charles Sharp and James McDonald. On the day of their hanging, they heard a banging at the door. They told them to ignore it and continue with the hanging. Once the hanging was finished, they opened the door to see Charles Sharp's wife running in, yelling, "I'm too late, I'm too late." Now many people ask us if the ghosts here are the Molly Maguires. We do not know, but we do know of one spirit that's a woman with long blonde hair in a white dress and always looks sad. This mysterious woman has been seen here during one of our ghost tours. This teenage girl with her family came into the main cell block, and when they walked into the main cell block, the teenage girl ran out hysterical, saying that there's a woman in old-time clothes and a purple hat watching her on the balcony. We told her that there's no one in there, but she was too hysterical to listen. So when the cell block was cleared, we turned the lights on to show her that there's no one in here. But she stuck by her word and said she knew what she saw. Just this summer, an old inmate came back to the jail and told us that every night at 3 a.m. they would hear someone walking up and down the steps, step by step by step. Many people also see a woman in a white gown walking up and down those steps, crying out, "I'm too late, I'm too late." Is this the spirit of Mrs. Sharp calling out to her dead husband? Will there be someone watching you on the balcony when you go to your next ghost guide? You will find your next ghost guide by the gallows in the back of the cell block. Remember, please do not take any pictures of the handprint. And remember, someone is always watching.
A replica and built 202 years ago. So while this prison was still in use, they did throw people into cell 17. One man who was sentenced here was in cell 17 and began screaming for 3 hours straight when a guard finally removed him from the cell and asked him why he was screaming. He then stated that he saw 2 ghost figures walking in and out of the cell through the locked iron doors. Usually people who come here like to tell us their experiences that they have here. A man and his wife were sitting in the chairs that we usually have up in front of the gallows, and the man said that he felt a cold breeze run past him, and then a ghostly figure out of the corner of his eye run up behind the gallows and then suddenly disappeared. He did not say anything about this and did not tell anyone about the story till he got home and his wife said that she saw the same exact thing. A woman who was looking at the handprint in cell 17 said that she saw a spirit sitting in the back of the cell in the chair watching her. So that same spirit will be watching you guys when you look at the handprint. It's over there in cell 17 in the cell lighting up. You can go around and take photos and look throughout the cells, and we do encourage to take photos of the gallows. Down the staircase toward the dungeon. They didn't want to scare her, so we turned on all the lights down in the dungeon, looked around and called out to the woman, but no one responded and we couldn't find anyone. Now it's your turn to go look for the woman in the black. You all follow me and we'll send you to the next.
Welcome to the dungeon. This is used as solitary confinement. And down here there would be a mat and a cell along with buckets used as a bathroom, and there's one prisoner per cell. There were a few lights up on the wall, and that was the only lights for us back in the day. And with that being said, we have had a lot of people come to us with experiences, whether they have heard something, saw something, or felt something. The first story that I have to share with you tonight happened on a regular daytime tour when a group was entering the dungeon. A few of the group stopped at the end of the staircase and seemed to be looking up at the ceiling. And so they saw a black shadow come from the ceiling, swoop down, and leave through the ground. They thought maybe it was a figure of their imagination. However, followed by that shadow, there was a loud crash, and it seemed to be unexplained. A few of the tour actually ran back upstairs into the light of the main cell block. Now, going along with a regular daytime tour, also leaving the building, we have had experiences. There was a little girl in the end of her group walking up the staircase, and she thought her dad was behind her. She said she felt two hands on her back, pushing her up the stairs, and pushing her, and pushing her, and pushing her. And when she finally had enough, and she turned around and yelled at her dad, she realized no one was behind her. She looked in front of her, saw her dad, a few people in front, and she realized that she was being pushed by a spear or someone behind her that wasn't there. She was the last person to be leaving the dungeon. The last story that I have to share with you tonight before I do let you explore happened to two ladies who wanted to come back down to the dungeon a little bit after hours to take a few pictures and check it out a little more. So they asked a tour guide to bring them down. And they were walking inside of the cells, taking pictures, looking around and exploring. And one woman walked into the cell, ran right out and up the stairs. The other lady, the tour guide, followed her to ask what was the matter. She said she walked into the cell, heard a loud voice yell at her to get out. She said by the tone of the voice, she knew it was serious, and she did what she was told. You'll now have about a minute to take pictures and walk around. Please do not go behind the bully system, and also please do not keep your flashlight on, but flash pictures are allowed. I'll then play back in about a minute for one last story.
So these are cells that,
So if you misbehaved upstairs, you'd be sent down here.
now what is on the side? Door on there?
No,
Yep, we do have them on so you can take pictures and walk inside.
You can use flash in here, she said. So.
Yeah, I'm gonna get it on. I just saw it board or something. Did you?
Yeah, straight ahead.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I got it though. I got really sad when we were standing in that first cell, and then she said the story.
Mm-hmm.
Is that dust? It could be dust.
Mm-hmm.
If you could start to gather up one more story. Now, the last story that I have to share with you tonight happened to one of our own tour guides. At the end of a regular day, the tour guides will go around and turning off the lights to close up. And there was one guy who already finished with his tours, so he offered to come down and turn off the lights for the dungeon. He said as he was walking back, he felt a cold breeze brush against his shoulder. However, he didn't think much of it because we are underground and it is pretty chilly, so he kept walking. He then said he saw a light swirl around him, and it seemed to concentrate right in front of him in a big glowing tube. And he said he couldn't move, he couldn't speak, it seemed like time had frozen right in front of him. He then heard a voice call out, "Hey boy, what are you doing here?" He turned around, not seeing anything, and ran up the stairs into the light of the gift shop. He saw our boss, Mrs. McBride, and he told her what he had seen. And he said, "Mrs. McBride, I did not say anything, I just ran." It is time that we run too. We are running out to the courtyard to continue along with the tour. If you follow me, I'll show you to your next ghost guide.
Alright, if everyone wants to move in a little bit, I'll tell you the last couple ghost stories of the night. Alright, welcome to the courtyard. My name is Blaine. As I said, I'll be telling you the last couple ghost stories at night. The first story I have for you is actually about a man who was murdered right here in this courtyard. The story was this man was about to be transferred to the Eastern State Penitentiary, which is about 10 times worse than this jail. So he obviously didn't want to go there. This man also had a friend on work release. A work release prisoner is a prisoner who goes into downtown Thorpe, does his job, then comes back in the jail to sleep. So the plan was for that man not to go to work that day, but instead go home, grab his rifle, and climb up the mountain behind you. Now yes, I promise there is a mountain back there. He was supposed to find a spot where he could see the whole courtyard, but no one would be able to see him. The other man was supposed to come out during recess, walk up the steps, stand on that platform, and spread his arms. That was a signal for that man to shoot him. Shoot him in the arm, the legs, somewhere to send him to a hospital for a couple days, and not the penitentiary. So that man agreed to the plan. On the day of the shooting, everything was going to plan. The man climbed the mountain, he found a perfect spot. The other man came out during recess, got up on the platform, and spread his arms. And he was shot, but not in the arm or leg. He was actually shot somewhere in the chest. The man was rushed to the hospital, but by the time he got there, he was already dead. Now, ironically enough, that man who shot him, he ended up taking that man's place in the state penitentiary. Now, the last story I have for you. The last story I have for you is about a medium and her husband who came in on a ghost tour. Now, before I go any farther, does everyone know what a medium is? It's like someone who talks to ghosts. So, she was a big medium. She full on had conversations with ghosts and got to know why they're here, what their story is, why they're haunting people if they are. So she was a little disappointed when her and her husband didn't really feel anything like that here. They got back in their car a little disappointed. They got back in their car a little disappointed, and all of a sudden they got that feeling like they were being watched. They turned around, and in their back seat, there was a boy in old-fashioned clothes and a newsboy's cap. He said, "Can I go home with you?" The girl's eyes lit up and she said, "No, and why would you want to come home with me in the first place?" The boy said, "I like you. I can talk to you, you can talk to me, you understand me. Can I please go home with you? I really don't like it in there anymore." And the woman said, "As much as I want to take you home with me, I can't. Because if you leave the jail, you may never be able to return." The boy sadly understood. He got out of the car. He walked up the front steps of the jail, turned around, and gave them a wave. Then he disappeared. Now he disappeared just like you are going to disappear, because this is the end of your ghost tour. You can now follow me back to the gift shop, but the one thing we do ask of you is that you please check your back seats. We'd like to keep all ghosts here for future ghost tours. You can follow me back to the exit. Just please watch your step.
You know, that kid's timing was off. He should have came out like 2 minutes later.
Just a few seconds later.